Let us turn to George Floyd. Bismillah. And I make these comments particularly for the supporters of one of the political parties in this country, which has unfortunately betrayed its founder and has now become a client of the oppressor, the United States of America. Many of the members of this political party and people who support this political party are my friends, and they have respect for me, and so I hope that they would not mind my sharing with them my views on George Floyd. And my opening statement is that the United States of America is now collapsing. And we, the rest of the world who have been badly beaten and brutalized and oppressed by the United States of America for years and years and years and centuries, we can only say, praise be to Allah, that the chickens are coming home to roost. That they who have been oppressing mankind for so long are now collapsing. And their own children, the people of the United States of America themselves, regardless of color and race and religion, are all rising up now in an insurrection that is causing the power structure to shake and shiver in the United States. This is Allah's kindness. We thought that they had been brainwashed. We had given up hope for them. That the media, the television, and the radio, and the newspapers, and those who own them, shamelessly, people with no sense of shame and no fear, have been peddling lies and writing lies and brainwashing the people, using the TV, using the newspaper, using the radio to shamelessly brainwash people and hide the truth and put the falsehood in the clothing of truth and put truth in the clothing of falsehood. They take the wolf and they make him look like a sheep. And they take the sheep and they make him look like a wolf. This is what you've been doing with the media. And journalists who sing for their supper should be ashamed of themselves. And so we who have suffered all these years from American oppression, particularly in Venezuela, now we say, thanks be to Allah. Thank you, Allah, that the oppressor, his crown is toppling. Yes. What happened in the United States was nothing new. They've been lynching the black people in the United States, the oppressors, most of whom were white, but not all white. No, not all white. And a larger number of white people in the United States are now recognizing the truth and coming over to support the oppressed. But the black people in the United States were slaves. They suffered the worst form of slavery mankind has ever experienced. There's always been slavery. And when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came in the world, there was slavery. So what did he do? He never abolished slavery. No. He said, before you seek to dismantle slavery, before you do that, you must recognize the humanity of the slave. You must treat the slave as a human being before you release him and free him. Mm-hmm. So these were his golden words. Tell this to Washington. He said, give your slave the food to eat that you eat yourself. Tell that to Washington. He said, give your slave to wear the clothes that you yourself wear. These words are like golden words in the ears of the African American people, who even though slavery was abolished, they still remain slaves. An unequal society. There is a discriminatory way of applying power. The Prophet ﷺ said, no discrimination. Even if my daughter, I know there are some people who object to this, but this is the hadith. Don't tell me I can't quote it. He said, even if my daughter Fatima were to steal, cut off her hand. Now you can't tell me what hadith I can quote and what I cannot quote, so shut up. He said, if my daughter Fatima were to steal, cut her hand. These are golden words of the Prophet. Golden words. Meaning a non-discriminatory application of the law. That's how the police should be. Not that you must be the police of Pharaoh, that you will protect the oppressor. That's what the police have become in the United States. And this man was a poor black man, and the white officer put his knee on his neck and choked him to death, as though the white officer didn't have a heart. He had the heart of a beast, and the other officers who were around him watching him, they had lost the heart of human beings. They'd become the hearts of beasts. And how do we explain this? The Quran explains it. The Quran says this is Gog and Magog. And this is a subject I was explaining during Ramadan when I ran out of time with Eid. So when I come back, inshallah, next week, we'll have the session for your telephone calls from wherever you are in the world. And then after that, I'll return to complete the subject of Gog and Magog. But just to give you a taste. Gog and Magog are human beings. They are people. They're not some strange people living in the interior of the earth. Forget that nonsense. They're human beings. And they are human beings who are endowed with power. Indestructible power. Only Allah can destroy them. But they use their power to corrupt and to oppress. Everything they touch, they corrupt and they oppress. The political system, the market, the economy, the monetary system, sexual relations, the educational system, the military, everything they corrupt and destroy. That's what modern Western civilization has done. And Gog and Magog would be recognized because a town which Allah has destroyed, and He expelled the people of that town. And then He placed a ban on them. They could never return to that town, never to reclaim it again as their own, until Gog and Magog have been released. And when they are released, they spread out all over the world. Then those people will be returned to reclaim that town. Which town is it? My answer, which I gave 20 years ago in this book, is Jerusalem. And my answer is correct. The Quran is saying that when you see the Jews being brought back to the Holy Land to reclaim it as their own, 2,000 years after they were expelled by Allah, the people who bring them back are Gog and Magog. And that is the explanation for what was done to George Floyd. And that is the explanation for the oppression of the African American people, who are still slaves. That is the oppression, the explanation of Western slavery of African people, to use them to build a new Babylon in the Western world. So please turn to the Quran to study Gog and Magog.